Okay, come with it, Prima. Jeez, Chico huffed, handing over his phone after unlocking it for her. She quickly scanned through his texts and call log. Satisfied, she opened up the back of it, disconnected the battery, then threw everything out the window and onto the street. Yo, what the fuck? Chico complained. Here, she said, tossing him a wad of bills. Buy yourself another one, she said, as she then pulled off again, circling the block twice before parking in a different street, then turning towards her cousin. Hey, Eduardo. Sorry about that. You know how I am. It's nothing personal. Just a precaution. This life we lead, one can never be too careful. We good? Yeah, Holmes, just feed me. How you been though? Chico asked. Alright, I guess. Listen, I'm kind of in a rush, so let's get right to business, Chico. I got 7 bricks. I want 70 bands total. Oh shit, Sadio, he said, getting excited. Sadio, Primo. Consider it a family discount. You want it or what? Apple said, ready to wrap this shit up. Fuck yeah, he said, patting his pockets. Fuck. What? Apple asked. Nothing. I just remember you tossed my fucking phone. You don't need it. I'll contact you through I Believe later concerning the exchange. Okay, cool, Chico said, as Apple hit the locks on the door. Okay, cool. Now get the fuck out of my car. Get out. Chico cried. Are you fucking kidding me, Holmes? He said, in disbelief, opening the door. Of course I'm kidding, stupid. Close the fucking door, Apple said, laughing at her stupid cousin as she put the car in drive and pulled off, heading back toward the mall where his car was parked. Do I look like a fucking heartless ass bitch? He said, laughing even harder at the irritated look Chico was giving her while shaking his head. You're too much, Holmes. You know that shit? Hey, boss, someone wants to talk to you, one of Paco's men whispered in his ear as he was having lunch out on the patio with his wife, Liliana, at his Baldwin Hills estate. Don't you see me having a meal with my wife, huh? He snapped at his minion. I understand, boss, but she claims to know you and believes she may have some information for you concerning our little problem. Concerning our little problem, he said. Our pro. Oh, yes. Dad, Paco said, realizing what he was talking about. Okay, what are you waiting for, you idiot? Don't just stand there. Bring her in. Vamonos, he said, waving the stooge off. This is it, Lily. I can feel it. The pieces I've been waiting for. Clipping the top off a Cuban, then licking around the edges, Paco scooted his chair back from the table, crossed his legs, and got comfortable as he lit the cigar and watched as the beautiful girl was escorted through the house and towards him and Liliana. Hello, Mr. Martinez. Please, call me Paco, he said, waving to a chair. Have a seat, Mrs. Delgado. Well, Trudy. Everyone calls me Trudy. I went to school with your daughter, Maria. Remember? Ah, yes, Maria, he said, smiling and nodding his head slowly as if he was remembering the girl, when in actuality he had no idea who the hell the pretty broad was. Though he wouldn't mind getting to know her, his thoughts began to wander as his eyes began to drift up her sexy frame. He shifted in his chair while clearing his throat, focusing back in on what the girl was saying. He could feel Liliana's eyes burning holes in the side of his head. So, what is this information you have for me? He asked the girl. Well, I heard there was a reward if anyone had heard or seen anything. Well, I was at the club down the street that night. She swallowed the lump that had formed in her throat as she remembered the body bags being carted away. It's okay, Paco said, now leaning forward on the edge of his chair, listening intensely as a scared girl rambled her way to some kind of a point. This city, thought excitedly. Take your time. Sorry, she said, continuing. The night that the men were all killed, I remember seeing them outside talking to some girls before we went inside the club. And then hours later, as we were leaving, that's when we seen all the police and body bags being taken away. This girl you say, what did they look like? Well, I'm not sure about the other two, but one I knew for certain from being a juvie years back with her. Her name is yes, Paco said, hungrily anticipating the the pending information. Struggling to recollect, the frightened girl nervously studies the ground as she remembered the beating Apple had put on her roommate and the group of girls who tried to jump her when they were locked up. She worked the 3 girls over pretty good with a lock she had in the sock, putting them all in the infirmary for weeks, all by herself. She was terrified of what the crazy bitch would do if she ever found out about this meeting with Paco, especially if she was responsible for the deaths of the 5 people from the house. There's no telling what she's capable of. Yet, she desperately needed the 25 grand of reward money her brother told her Mr. Martinez was offering concerning the murders. She had a 1-year-old son to consider. Apple, she mumbled, barely above a whisper. Excuse me, Paco said, staring at the girl, uncertain if he had heard the girl correctly. Did you say Apple? The girl repeated, this time louder and crystal clear, as a stunned Paco looked at the beautiful woman. Are you sure about this? Absolutely, sir. I never forget that face, she stated as she began to tremble, while Paco looked at his man. See to it that Mrs. Delgado is well compensated for her troubles, Paco said, standing as he thanked Trudy for her courage. Thank you, Mr. Martin. I'm sorry, Paco. No worries. He smiled back at her as he mentioned her towards his henchman to go with this. As he mentioned towards his henchman, go with this gentleman. He will take good care of you. Oh, and Trudy. Yes, sir. Let's keep this little meeting between us, eh? Sure, Paco. I was never here. She smiled, relieved that she was led back towards the house and right into Satan's lair, where she never knew what hit her as Paco's henchman fired a single round from a silenced pistol right into the back of her brain the second she entered the foyer, killing her instantly. Bring her to me, he ordered his man as he keyed his walkie-talkie and rounded up the troops, en route to go find Apple. Somebody clean up that fucking mess off my kitchen floor, Liliana screamed after them. Right away, ma'am. What the fuck is taking Apple so long? Loyalty thought as he looked at his smartwatch. Everything good, Mina asked him, noticing that he had checked 3 times in the last 20 minutes. Yeah, man, everything Gucci, he told her. Okay, let's do this shit. Everyone gather around. They just have to begin the next phase of their takeover without Apple. It wasn't unusual for her to go dark when handling certain missions. He'd already left her 2 messages with no responses yet, which could only mean her phone was so still voluntarily unavailable, as is how she handles business when dealing with unloading any weight that comes their way. So he'd give her a few more hours to handle her business before checking in or panicking. Listen up, he said, as the 4 of them stood around the war table and Loyalty began laying out the blueprint. After making sure everyone understood their roles, they began to switch gears, load and check their weapons and equipment, then pile out of the garage and into the jackmobile. Popping the trunk, Mina carefully placed 2 bricks from Paco's spot into the stash with a few items of Fly's jewelry, then jumped in the 745 with the rest of the squad as they made their way across town towards their destination. Pulling up 15 minutes later, Loyalty turned towards Macy, who was pulling the back seat hatch down, then assessing the trunk stash and removing the backpack containing the 2 bricks and jewelry as she next checked her weapon again, followed by Stormy and Mina as Loyalty prepared to make the call. You guys ready? Yeah, they replied as Loyalty placed the call. Loyalty, my boy, Paco sang into the phone. What do you have for me? Listen, I've been doing some digging and I'm currently sitting on a lead located at 1775 Willard Street. Couple of jack boys, serious cast though. Word is, your dope's inside. I'm minutes from making entry. Wait, what? No, don't you go in without me, son. I want to kill these motherfuckers, Paco yelled as he disconnected the call. Macy, be careful, Loyalty said as she hopped out of the car and prepared to make entry. Hide, you two, he said. Mina and Stormy, we go in at 3. We sparing 1, understand? Got it. Macy had 2 minutes to get in there, plant the bag of drugs and jewelry, then slid back out unnoticed before making entry with Paco and his man. Leaving the mall's parking lot, after dropping her cousin Chico off at his car, Apple pulled the Lexus into the main street en route back to the spot. She knew she was behind schedule, and Loyalty and the team needed her for the next mission. Reaching for her phone, she turns it back on and begins strolling through her missed calls and text messages as she pulls up to a light. Slowing down to a stop, she smiles at the pretty girl pushing a stroller across the intersection in front of her. She never seen the black minivan pull up on the side of her, or the 2 masked men carrying automatic weapons pouring from the side door, till she heard the thunderous crash of the Lexus window being knocked out by the steel artillery. Immediately, and with the speed of A sound. She reached between her legs, gripped her 45, upped it, and sent two rapid shots through the first perp's head and throat as she simultaneously felt what had to be 100 volts of electricity running throughout her entire body, instantly immobilizing her entire being, as the last thing she saw was another masked man replacing the one she had just noodled at her door window, holding what looked to be some sort of a taser gun. Motherfucker, she thought as everything went dark. Smack! Wakey, wakey, sleepyhead. Blackie smiled as he raised his big beefy hands to deliver another vicious blow to the unconscious face of Apple, who they had stripped naked and chained to a chair in the basement, bruised and beaten. Smack! Wake up, he screamed as Apple's eyes began to weakly open. Blinking a few times as her surroundings began to come into focus, she could immediately sense that she was in serious trouble. Her whole body felt like it was on fire, and she could barely see out of one of her eyes. She knew she was in bad shape. Where am I? She tried to speak as she locked eyes with the sound of footsteps that continued circling, then stopping in front of her, looking at her. Blackie said as he stared down at a broken apple. Look at you. The infamous big bad apple. Ooh, he said, shivering like he was afraid, mocking her. Let me go now, and I'll kill both you stupid fucks quick, she said, causing the man to laugh while looking back and forth between each other before backhanding the shit out of a defenseless apple, sending teeth and blood tumbling out of her once beautiful mouth. Yeah, you and what army, sweetie, Blackie said, pointing at a table with syringes and scalpels and other different types of torture tools laid across it. You see that, he said? Is what will be used against you. Used to convince you that you might want to make this shit easy on yourself and tell us what the fuck we want to know, like who killed our fucking man and took our fucking dope and what belongs to Paco. Silence. Smack. Wrong cancer, bitch, he says, walking over to the table, holding the tray, and received the syringe filled with some shit that was supposed to make motherfuckers talk. And jammed the needle in her arm. She laughed like a maniac, even looking like one from the beating they given her as she stares in his eyes. Loyalty's going to kill y'all motherfuckers for this, stupid. Do you understand? She screams as her body suddenly begins to violently jerking and her eyes roll into the back of her head as foam began coming from her mouth. The intense pain she was feeling was like none other. She knew it was over as the lethal dose of drugs passed through her system, killing her instantly. Yo, what the fuck, fool? She's dead, you idiot, Blackie's partner yelled at him. You gave her too much, bro. What the oh my God, Paco's gonna fucking kill us, you fucking stupid idiot. Blackie began stuttering as he realizes he might have fucked up like Duke said, possibly giving her too much of the drug. Shit. What do I do, he wondered, quickly grabbing his phone and texting the boss. Pulling up at the address Loyalty had given him, Paco and his man began piling out of their vehicles directly in front of the house. Spotting Loyalty and his team preparing to make entry. Let's go, he said, as Loyalty kicked in the front door and all hell broke loose as a barrage of bullets from shooters' high-power assault weapon began spitting from somewhere within the house, attempting to rebuild the door they had just kicked down. Firing in on the house from all directions, both teams converged on the house, laying down anything in their path. Making entry, Loyalty took out the shooter, who was busy ducking for cover from the return fire. His team was putting down two to the head, killing that nigga on impact. Heading down the hallway of doors, Pac on his six, he begins kicking them in one by one. When he enters the last room, first thing he sees is the bottom of Macy's boots as she went flying through the fucking window and out the house. He sent a few wild shots in her direction just to make it look good in case Paco had caught a glimpse of the fleeing boots himself. Rushing in, they stumbled up on a dazed peanut laid across the bed next to the black duffel bag full of Paco's drugs and Fly's jewelry that they had planted. Smack! Get your ass up, Paco said, entering the room and snatching the stunned Peanut up. Smack! Peanut begins to snap out of it as he immediately screams when he realizes he has guns pointed at him. Yo, what the fuck? He yells. Hold on. Who the fuck you? Smack. Shut the fuck up, Paco said, going ballistic on Peanut ass, delivering blow after blow as he continues smacking the dude's senses. You think you can just steal from me? Paco screamed as he delivered another devastating blow to the boy's face that sent him flying backwards across the bed. Crawling on top of him, Paco wrapped his big beefy